Good afternoon, my name is Amanda Henson. I'm just going to show you a little tip on doing watercolour and cling film. So for this you'll need some good quality paper. So the best thing to do really is look at the gram quality, and it shows you here that's 300 grams. The better quality, the higher the gram. And it's best if you get the thickest you can afford so that it doesn't warp. Okay, so we've also got different watercolours here. I'll just show you this. So it's watercolours, there's a little palette here you can use, or if you haven't got something like that, we can use one of these, which is just a cheap one for what we're doing. And this is quite handy because it's got all the names of the colours in it. So there's that. You will also, or you could use one of these sort of tube colours for watercolours. Then you'll need a brush, or maybe two, it's up to you. Jar of water, some kitchen roll, and a palette on which to put your colours. Okay, so I'll put this here. So I'm going to use perhaps a mixture of these and these today. So I'll just put everything out the way. You will need scissors and a pencil too. Okay, so today we're going to do an autumnal leaf. So your jar of water, and you've got the palette. Now don't worry if you've got some dried up paint on your palette already, because that's the beauty of watercolour. You can always dip your water on it and the colour will come through just as well as if it does on the first time that you put it in. So it's good to get used to the names of your colours. So this is vermilion red, which I've already put enough on the palette here. I've got a bit of yellow ochre, which is good to use. Especially in like natural colours. As I say, today we're going to do leaves, so put a little bit of that on there. You don't need an awful lot of watercolour paint, so it goes a long way. So sap green is another good one that I use for landscapes, so I've put it there. Now as you can see, I have actually mixed some of these colours already together, so you've got some different browns, but don't worry about that, all adds to the natural effect. And I've got a bit of brighter yellow, lemon yellow, a little bit on the bright side, but it's nice to add a little bit of a different colour too. So I've got here a bit of burnt umber and a little bit of crimson just here, so I'll put a little bit more of that back on. Okay, so what I've done, I'll put those out of the way now. So there's your palette, there's your water, brushes, and now I've cut just a little piece of this paper up. The thing is with this, it's just nice to try things out first, isn't it, to see how it goes. So now, because I haven't taped it down, it will buckle a little bit, but don't worry too much about that, because it's not going to be very detailed, it's just the effect that you're after. So I've got a plain drop of water and a nice soft brush here, nice watercolour brush. I'm just going to wet it all over. Like that. Get it all over. You see, just wet. So it doesn't really matter what colours you use, just have a little play, see which ones you like the best. So I'll put a bit of red on. Now you do need quite a dense red. Okay, so just let it do its own thing on here. And sometimes it will mix together. I'm not too bothered about having any white showing though, so go into your corners. Let's have a bit of this crimson, shall we? Look at that. Okay, go on to the green. A bit of green, let it bleed and colours will go in together. A bit of brown, always a bit of brown, isn't it, in the autumn leaves, especially as they change. So I've got that going. Let's just tease that green right to the end. Now you can always add more colour to it as well afterwards if you want to. Now of course if you're mixing this bright yellow in here, you're going to get some of this orange coming through, aren't you? Because you're mixing it in with the reds. So as I say, just have a bit of fun. Let's go back a bit of green, shall we? A bit of green. Colours there like that. What do you think, people? Shall we add a little bit more colour here? Because it's a bit pale, isn't it? Let's get some rich colour going. Yeah. I'm going to bring that brown in a little bit more too. Onto this bit. Don't worry if you've got a bit of a bit. Now you will need a bigger cling film too. Forgot to mention that, didn't I? And here's a bit I made earlier. So yeah, cool. Get your cling film and get it ready before this is, because you don't want this to dry. Okay, so you can pre-crinkle this a little bit, but you want to cover it, the whole of your piece of paper. So put it down. You can just sort of let it do its own thing, or you can manipulate it a little bit so that it, you know, you've got leaf sort of shapes, but don't worry too much about it because we'll be cutting them out. Okay, so we leave that to dry. Probably takes about 3.5 hours, a little bit longer really, depends on the weather. So I'm going to put that out of the way, but that's what it looks like for now. Okay. And now I'm going to bring over one. I'm just going to wipe the table, I don't want to get too wet. Going to bring over one. Here's one I did earlier. So each one's individual, it all changes. So I just did the big reveal. And that's the one that's turned out like that. Okay. So each one will be different. So now you're going to be using some, you can get yourself some leaf stencils. That's the dog. Leaf stencils here so that get them printed off the internet, and it's going to show you what to do. I mean, a lot of you will have done this sort of thing many years ago maybe, so what we're going to do is just like trace it over. So you're going to go across this like this, go round and round, basically like that, don't you? I'm just choosing the simple one for now. Okay, so you've got that and you've traced all the way around that. Use a nice sharp pencil, but really make sure you've got all of it. So you've got this sheet and you're going to turn it over. Don't worry about the colours on the other side. And I think I might have to do it that way. See how it fits, make sure it's all in here. And then of course, what do you do now? You go over it so that you're imprinting the other side over. Do you remember doing this at school? I don't normally say to my learners to trace, but in this instance it's up to you, isn't it, really? It's just about the process, the cling film process really, and starting to understand it really. Of course, if you wanted to, and if you're more ambitious, you can always draw your own leaf over it, can't you? Oh, got a bit fed up doing that bit, so I'll go over it. Okay, so you've done that, so we'll have a little look, see how it's turned out. Okay, so there you go. Can you see the shape of the leaf coming through? So all we have to do is cut that out now. Should we do that? So here's your scissors. Like watching paint dry, isn't it? Watching somebody draw around, cut out, but actually it doesn't harm, does it, just to take your time and do something like this for fun, especially at the moment. The thing is with this, we've only done one-sided, but you could actually just use this side and add cling film to it, couldn't you? And paint and cling film. Then you could turn it into a sort of mobile, leaf mobile. So I bet you're waiting to see the big reveal. Okay, just nearly there now. Doing this a little bit quick, but take your time and make a nice job of it, generally. Okay, so shall we have a look? And there we go, a leaf that you can use. As I say, it's up to you. You can just do it for the pure decoration of it, really. If you've done it both sides, because as I say, you can use it as a mobile. I have done a couple of here's I made 2 earlier. Now keep that. You never know if you're going to make another little drawing of a little leaf on that. And we have some more here that I did different again. That's the beauty of it, really. The thing is, you could probably make a little frame round something, a collage or anything you like. Thank you very much.